This is just a very brief history of photography and recording images on some kind of media just to show how far we've come. The camera was originally just a camera obscura. It was a drawing aid. There was no way to make the image permanent. The camera projected the image onto a piece of glass or possibly also onto a wall where you traced around it. In 1816, we started making images permanent. This is a metal plate coated with something called bitumen of Judea, which hardens on exposure to light. Now, as you might think, it takes a lot of light to expose it. So the exposure time might have been at least 8 hours, or it may have even been several days, some people think. So not exactly action photography. The next development was the daguerreotype. So you had a metal plate coated with silver iodide or a silver halide, which when it's exposed to light produces a latent image, which can be made visible by development at the time with mercury fumes. Exposure times indoors could still be as long as an hour. Outdoors, if you look at this photo here, you can see that there's nobody on the street, and that's because the exposure time was possibly 5 to 10 minutes. So if someone's walking down the street, they're not going to be in one place long enough to record on the film. Only the guy in the red circle there, who's getting his shoes shined, stood still long enough to be recorded, and he may actually be the first person to ever actually have their image recorded photographically. The next development was the calotype. So the daguerreotype was a one-off. You put the metal plate in the camera, you exposed it, you developed it, that was your picture. The calotype actually used a paper negative, so you could actually make multiple prints. And you can see from the little bit of embellishment on the one on the right, you could actually even retouch them a bit. Collodion process was coated on glass or metal. The exposure time was shorter than the daguerreotype, although it's still not short. The plates had to be coated, sensitized, exposed, and processed while they were still damp. So you had to bring your own darkroom along and make the plate, put it in the camera, take the picture, take it back, put it in the chemicals, and process it before it totally dried. They're on glass, so they're very sharp. The picture on the right is actually the collodion emulsion coated on a metal plate. So if the collodion image itself was a little bit light colored, it's kind of that beigey color. So if you coated it on a metal plate, a black metal plate, then the negative actually became the positive, and you can see they've added a bit of color to that. Dry gelatin emulsion was actually the big development. George Eastman basically made contemporary photography. He introduced the first Kodak camera. He introduced roll film, although the gelatin emulsion was also coated on glass plates. And basically that put photography in everybody's hands. So the snapshot, which you can see some examples there, became popular. Color has been around for a long time. This fellow was photographed through 3 different color filters, a red, blue, and a green. If you look at those, they're almost exactly identical to the color channels in Photoshop when they're combined. And I think this print that you're looking at is a contemporary print, but when they're combined, you get a color image. And 35mm film was the most popular format until the advent of digital photography. And actually, most DSLRs look very much like their 35mm predecessors.